This movie made me regret just about every choice that I've ever made in my entire life. I didn't expect this film to be good, but I didn't expect it to be this awful. Honestly, Return to Zombie Island might be worse than Velma. I don't make that statement lightly. Let's just begin. The first thing that you'll notice is that Zombie Island and Return to Zombie Island start out pretty similarly, except Return to Zombie Island is bad in every single way. The original film showed the gang on a typical outing on a typical Scooby Doo mystery to help re-establish the concept of the show. Shaggy and Scooby are terrified of the beast, the others are in peril, but through wacky hijinks it all comes together and they find the person in the mask.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that big dog and you meddling kids!
Return tries to do something similar. After the credits, which admittedly do set up a spooky tone, we're treated to a typical Scooby-Doo outing. It's a montage this time, in which the gang are hunting down actual vampires, actual mummies, and actual swamp things, and an assortment of all other kind of monsters that are portrayed to be real. Also, Shaggy and Scooby are apparently brave now. In actuality, this is a dream sequence that Fred is having because when you only have an hour and 10 minutes, you want to waste 5 of them on a dream sequence that has nothing to do with anything. I have so many problems with the opening of this film. Let's start with the most basic one. Remember the point of Zombie Island?
Because this time, the monsters are real.
Yeah, anyone who is a fan of the first film is going to remember that walking into this one. Because real monsters are established in this canon now, it's not strange or different enough to have this seem like a dream sequence. The only other dreamlike thing is that the characters are horribly out of character, which is consistent with the rest of the movie. Shaggy and Scooby bravely dealing with the mummy, huh? It's also a pretty bad showcase of Fred's character. He pretty much kills someone with an oil slick, monster or otherwise. Also, there's this.
Come on, gang, down here.
This is the first line of the movie and there are 20 million problems with it. They could all be summed up as such.
It's a dead end!
Yeah, no shit, it's a fucking alley. And what's the song that's playing over this montage?
These are the good old days. On a day you wouldn't feel any better.
It does fit for a Scooby Doo film. It's a 60s inspired song about nostalgia. But the problem is that it sounds like Scooby shit. This is especially painful when you remember that the original film had an awesome soundtrack.
You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again.
It's Terror Time Again gets all the love, but The Ghost Is Here sounds just as good, and that movie's version of the theme song is one of the best renditions of it. I definitely would have preferred something that sounded late 90s, like the movie that this is a sequel to, but a 60s soundtrack could work. You know, if they put any effort into anything here. Speaking of which, the voice acting in this film is
We all did it together. We're awesome.
not good. I feel like this line came from a 90s edutainment PC game, and I don't get it, since the guy who voices Fred also plays Scooby. Scooby sounds fine.
I'm scared.
Fred, I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Scoob, Shaggy.
The other VAs are passable. I'm always going to prefer Billy West or Casey Kasem to Matthew Lillard, but that's personal preference. Honestly though, I wouldn't blame any voice actor for phoning it in, because this movie is incompetent in so many obvious ways.
I had a terrible dream that I lost the mystery machine. Oh man, what a nightmare.
You ever ramble on about a nightmare with a smile on your face?
Ah, that's right. I sold it.
You what?
I have 3 questions. The first one, why? The second one, why? And the third one, what the fuck? First time I watched this, no joke, I thought that this was a part of another dream, because this is literally more out of character than Shaggy and Scooby acting brave in the dream. But no, this is a serious thing that actually happened in canon. How do you fuck up the personality of Fred?
I have a disease where I can't recognize people who aren't hot.
Don't answer that.
And I guess now they'll forever remain unsolved. Which, to be honest, makes me a little crazy.
What is with the animation in this thing? The style is fine, it looks aesthetically pleasing, even if I prefer the more anime-esque style of the original, but like, no one has the right expression for anything. It just doesn't let anyone emote properly. So, you wanna know why Fred sold the mystery machine? Like, the excuse that they came up with to make Fred do the most out-of-character thing that he's ever done in Scooby-Doo history.
Listen, I know things haven't been the same since the sheriff lectured us about staying out of trouble.
Yeah, that's the reason. That is literally all of the reason. Because the sheriff said to stay out of trouble, Fred sold the mystery machine.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm itching to solve a mystery.
But we don't have a mystery to solve.
I've got one. How the hell does staying out of trouble mean selling the mystery machine? You can own a van and not get into trouble. I reiterate, the fuck? I'd make a joke about this, but if the answer was literally because potatoes, it would make more sense than the explanation that we actually got. Believe it or not, the movie has more bullshit to throw at you. Shaggy and Scooby make the others promise to not solve any mysteries ever again. Why?
The sheriff told us to stay out of trouble.
And the others agree to it.
From now on, the only mystery I care about is how to get the rest of the ketchup out of this bottle.
Crack it upside your head. I'll do it for you. No, seriously, the sheriff told me to, so I absolutely have to. Also, this is just a nitpick, but every single character in this film is fucking awful and I hate them all.
But Shaggy...
No buts!
This promise goes on for the first half of the movie, and it is literally the most annoying thing that I've ever seen in any film. Here's what this promise entails. Never ask questions about anything for the rest of your fucking life or our friendship is over. Just ignore everything. Try to figure out what the weather is tomorrow? That sounds like a mystery to Norval Shaggy Rogers, so you can't fucking do it. And if he so much as sees you looking up at the sky, he's gonna get right up in your face, because we're all friends here. Someone tries to murder them, and Shaggy gets angry that the rest of them are asking questions. I'm not even joking. The gang can't defend themselves against zombies. Zombies that Shaggy literally sees and is rambling on about right in front of them because they promised to not solve mysteries. Was this movie written by ChatGPT? It has just as much logical flow. This wouldn't be so much of a problem if it didn't come up every 3 fucking minutes for the first half of the movie. And it definitely doesn't help matters that the others have absolutely no reason to make this promise. Except, once again,
the sheriff told us to stay out of trouble.
I swear, this is the most insufferable shit ever.
Get out! You must go before it's too late. The island is infested with zombies.
Well then, if I was a person that was curious about such phenomena, I'd probably want to investigate that. But since I'm not, I guess I'll just go now.
Just this, constantly.
And a promise is like a promise that can't be unpromised unless the promisor gets permission from the promisee.
If I'm lucky, Mr. Talent will rub his tentacles on my art.
You guys have been running around looking for trouble for so long you've forgotten how to just be kids.
So we've come to one of the most contentious parts of this film. This movie retconned the gang back into being teenagers. And this literally breaks everything.
She was just,
Reminiscing, yeah, about that summer when I was working at that TV station for my school project.
Yes, that school project taking place over the summer, in which you reminisced about driving around the country years ago. That high school project? Tell me, Daphne, how many times did you get held back for that to be remotely possible? The gang were adults in the original, with actual jobs. Sure, Daphne's job was a school project, whatever. Even Velma running a bookstore, you could argue. But Shaggy and Scooby were working in airport security. Was that a high school project too? The ages of Mystery Inc., or not Mystery Inc. in this case, are nebulous. They vary from spin-off to spin-off, from them being young kids to being teenagers to being adults with budding careers. Normally, this wouldn't be a problem, except you went out of your way to specifically make a direct sequel to one of the few Scooby Doo properties where the gang was explicitly stated to be adults. You can have a Scooby Doo movie where the gang are teenagers. It just can't be a sequel to Zombie Island, because it makes no fucking sense. Why am I complaining about this movie contradicting the original? It contradicts itself.
What you need to do is treat yourself to a vacation. Get away from the city. Go have some fun.
That sounds like a great idea. I'd love to do that if you didn't make us sell our fucking car. This movie is so stupid. They get Elvira in a Scooby Doo movie, and her cameo lasts only like a minute. How do you use Kiss in a Scooby Doo movie better than Elvira?
I'd wish you good fortune, but you're already out, because I've seen our next movie, Predator Jones.
Joke's too easy next.
An anonymous sponsor has offered to provide my most fantastic fan an all-expense-paid vacation to a tropical paradise.
So Shaggy wins this contest on his favorite show, and he is allowed to bring 3 friends and a pet, which is a little but to everyone else, this is the most suspicious thing ever.
Huh. That's awfully convenient.
That you were talking about a vacation, and coincidentally Shaggy managed to win one on his favorite show ever. That is what you consider convenient. I just consider it bad writing. Also, this is supposed to be the first big clue that there's something freaky going on. It's not like Shaggy got a mansion in a contest that he didn't answer. He won a contest for his favorite show. Sure, it's not the most plausible thing that's ever happened, but someone has to win the lottery, you get me? You wanna know what kind of questions this movie is not asking? How they got 4 teenagers and a talking dog to the Louisiana bayou while making them think that it's a tropical island. How? No movie. This is not something that you could just transition past. You need to tell me, how do you get people to get on an airplane, car, boat, whatever, and make them, anyone, think that the Louisiana bayou is some kind of tropical island?
See, it actually does look tropical. No need to worry at all.
Trees fall all the time. Even trees made out of plastic?
Because as we all know, the only difference between Hawaii and Louisiana is plastic palm trees. The scene on the boat is one of the most baffling things that I've ever seen. We've just got to take this one line by line. My God.
No worries. What? There's absolutely nothing mysterious going on.
Correct. Nothing has happened yet.
Whew. You promised the sheriff not to mention Shaggy and Scooby.
You promised the sheriff not to mention Shaggy and Scooby. When? Why? What?
Hey, Fred, what are you doing?
Me? Oh, nothing. Not thinking about the stuff that I promised not to think about.
Why, I was about to try and solve the mystery of how all these trees in this tropical paradise don't look tropical at all.
But then I reminded her that we promised Scooby and Shaggy we wouldn't solve any mysteries.
Maybe that's what the government's been doing wrong all this time. Some rando sees a UFO in the middle of his farm. The men in black don't need to erase his memory. They just need to make him promise not to solve mysteries. As a friend. Because apparently that works better. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Excuse me, Captain. Where did you say this island was that we're going to?
The darkest reaches of Davy Jones' locker, if you ask me.
You guys know that Zombie Island is like only maybe an hour from the coast, right? It's not in the middle of the ocean. It's just off the coast of Louisiana.
Tomorrow is my last trip to the island on account of the zombies.
If I cared about solving mysteries, I might be thinking about that other time we went to an island filled with zombies.
The guy driving your boat says zombies, like for real zombies, and you just keep standing in the same room with him, blabbing on about mysteries. I reiterate, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
I'm sure when the captain refers to zombies, he's just using slang.
I hope you die first.
Hi, I'm Fred, and
It's out.
The first movie had a ghost writing that same phrase on the wall with his sword. I guess a dude in a tropical shirt works just as well.
I guess small talk isn't our thing, is it?
Usually we're trying to figure out how to escape some monster or who did what where. We've never really just sat around and talked.
Okay, this specific detail of the gang pisses me off the most. In the original film, hell, 99% of Scooby Doo in general, Mystery Inc. is portrayed as friends before mystery solvers. They do other things. This portrayal doesn't even make sense logically. Do they just sit in silence in between the mysteries driving from place to place?
What's your favorite thing to do besides solving mysteries?
There is nothing else.
Tell me again then, why did you promise not to solve any mysteries forever?
I know there's mysterious stuff around every corner, but you promised!
You're right, Shaggy. And we are going to keep our promise no matter what.
Even if it kills us, which is now a literal, actual possibility. Scooby fucking saw the thing that almost killed them, and they're seriously not allowed to ask any questions about the murder attempt on their lives. Shaggy and Scooby's lives included, all because of that stupid promise. So now we get a recap of the first movie, because the people who made this one really want to prove that yes, they've actually seen it.
We searched everywhere, including Moonscar Island.
Like we know all this!
What the hell is the point of this scene? It recaps the film that they're blatantly breaking continuity of to characters that were actually there for an audience that presumably doesn't need it. All while having Shaggy and Scooby say that they know what happened.
Besides, this says Moonstar, not Moonscar. Plus, did you see the palm trees in the sand?
Upon entering the hotel, house, whatever, they come to the manager, Alan, who shows them the guest book. It has pages ripped out, and the explanation that the movie gives is...
Moths.
Excuse me, what?
Moths.
Did you say mods? Damn those Reddit moderators. I will get my revenge on them someday. How dare they tear pages out of this book? I'd love to see the script for this film, because 70% of the time, I think the cast is just doing improv.
Why would we need protection?
Gee, Fred, it sounds like you're asking about something mysterious. You wouldn't be doing that now, would you?
Shaggy's the murderer. Calling it now. Only someone who wants Fred to die would be acting like this. Even if Shaggy isn't the murderer, no court on Earth would not convict him of aiding and abetting the actual culprit. For absolutely no reason, the hotel staff look exactly like the characters from Zombie Island 1. Somehow. You see, 3 of those characters are dead and no pictures were ever taken. Daphne's camera sank in the quicksand. And even if Velma did describe their appearances, they look too similar. And Stubbs' counterpart is still alive. He's probably looking for that same catfish in that same area.
Well, when you hear something suspicious, I guess the best thing to do is ignore it.
This has been Genius Advice Hour with Velma Dinkley.
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and you are the sun. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
If you guys want to make Daphne a teenager, fine. Can you not have a grown man hit on her if you do that, though? Okay, thanks, bye. So then the zombies come in. You know, the ones that were friendly in the last film. The ones that the gang saw in the last film. The next couple of scenes are some of the most pointless shit that I've seen in my life, so we're just gonna skip ahead to where the zombies are about to break down the door. Because that's finally when Shaggy and Scooby relent on this stupid fucking promise. And you know what that promise accomplished? Nothing! Because guess what? The gang already noticed all the clues necessary to solve the mystery before the promise was allowed to be broken. So the only thing that it added was Shaggy and Scooby going tisk tisk every time that a clue was seen, and the rest of the gang acting too dumb to live. So, the mystery is finally revealed, literally halfway through the film. That's right, with all of the filler and the subplots and the redundant scenes, everything you've seen so far has only been half of this movie. And unlike Norm of the North 2, this one was never meant to be 2 movies. This one really is that incompetent. So, what is the solution to this 0.5 of a mystery?
It first started when Shaggy and Scooby won that contest. It was way too coincidental and in fact was probably planned.
Ah yes, because the culprit absolutely knew that Shaggy Rogers not only watched that show, but was watching it right then and there at a public restaurant.
And don't forget the cameras.
That's right. There were cameras all over the hotel.
Oh no, the hotel has a security system. It's gonna take over Squidward's house!
And the most important clue. The guest book. There were pages ripped out of it. Pages that had the signatures of previous guests, including us. Moonscar Island did not have a guest book because it wasn't a hotel. Your self-admitted most important clue literally makes no sense. You even stated in your unnecessary recap that it was just some woman's house. This isn't just a hotel. This is a location, and we are in a movie.
Cut!
So Alan Smithy's plan here was to hire lookalikes for people who have never been photographed, one of which is still alive and presumably in the area, and to trick people who had experienced this adventure before back to the island, which now looks nothing like the island described in the adventure, instead of actors because this is a tax scam, isn't it? The others agree to be in Alan Smithy's film because also Velma doesn't believe the zombies in the original film were real because the people behind this film decided to make this a sequel to a film that they simultaneously hated and didn't watch because, and now we're in a completely different movie, which is what I wanted, but this one's worse. The last one was frustrating. This one is just incredibly boring. Usually. No, Fred! Don't stick it in the gas hole! You'll regret it, believe me! Rubber. We learned that Fred has a stunt double when no one else does because of the budget of this movie can only afford one new character design. Tell me, Alan, how did you plan on stunt doubling for Fred without him knowing about it? Then again, to be fair, Fred isn't the smartest cookie in the box.
The fairy? I thought I was hallucinating.
Why didn't you tell us?
Because of the promise.
Because you promised Shaggy and Scooby that you wouldn't solve mysteries, you didn't tell your friends that you were hallucinating. Yeah, fuck it, checks out. I'm gonna call someone up and get them to promise not to solve mysteries and get angry if they don't send me a check for $1,000, because apparently doing anything constitutes as solving a mystery. No wonder these dipshits can't talk about anything else.
I almost thought I was going crazy, but now that I know I'm not going crazy.
You kissed a tire. Seriously though, the next 10 minutes is a bunch of movie-making jokes that aren't funny. until Alan almost gets killed. The gang beat up a bunch of cats, I guess. I think the scene is supposed to be funny, but at this point I'm just completely zoned out. Oh, and Scooby is afraid of cats in this film. How do you fuck up the characters from Scooby Doo this badly? Never mind the characters from Scooby Doo. Scooby is a dog. After all of this nothing happens, Alan Smithy sets a boat on fire.
We can't leave. Not until we finish this movie. We have to finish.
The first time I watched this film, I thought he straight up killed a guy.
And we've lost our only way off this island.
If that was the last ferry for like forever, how are you planning on getting off the island when the movie was over? Then, because of Fred's romantic interest in the Mystery Machine, he jumps on a burning boat.
I won't lose another one, not again. Not this time!
Every now and then I fall apart, and I need you now tonight, and I need you more than ever. And if you only hold me tight, if you hold, we'll be holding on forever.
Rubber. So for this next scene, I want to fully establish that the cat people in this film are actually people in costumes. Ones that can actually jump on the roof of a van and chase it down when it's going full speed. They're actually people who are looking for Moonscar's treasure. Oh, that's real too now, by the way. If it sounds like I'm rushing over the second half of this film, it's because next to nothing happens. The whole second mystery aspect is even worse put together. Simone's pendant apparently points to where Moonscar's treasure was buried, for reasons, I guess. Why would it do that? Moonscar was not affiliated with the cat god. If the cat god was able to point out where the treasure was hidden, why wouldn't the cat people use it? They've lived on that island for hundreds of years. You don't expect me to believe that they just guarded it like dragons instead of spending it on, I don't know, a ferry, house repairs, staff wages, never having to actually work. It was the greeters and the fairy pirate man who did it. The people you see at the start and then forget about. The biggest Scooby stereotype of them all. Why are the Scooby-Doo cliches the only thing that you're bringing back? The police then arrests them, but he leaves Alan Smithy alone.
And don't forget talented film director, Alan Smithy.
You committed arson! And because of reasons, he gets away with Moonscar's treasure.
It's been a pleasure working with you kids. Really has. But I'm retired.
I think this is supposed to be a happy ending, but I reiterate, you committed arson! And we have one final middle finger to close us out. Velma thinks that she solved the case of Zombie Island. She believes that these cat people, who we saw die, were the exact same ones from last time.
And the original zombies?
Swamp gas.
Yes, swamp gas. That perfectly sums up this film. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Let us never talk about this again.